I think the San Francisco 49ers are a very fascinating team here heading into 2022 and the way that they can build their team. Because, again, they're just a unique case in team building. They kind of do it a different way than a lot of teams do. And obviously, that Trey Lance trade, we're really going to probably see it pay dividends, as I'm assuming he's going to be the starter next year. It almost seems like the 49ers accidentally almost won a Super Bowl in a year where they weren't preparing for it a little bit, They, I mean, obviously you want to win a Super Bowl always, but most people thought of them as like a playoff team, but not a Super Bowl caliber team. They made the playoffs and everyone felt like, okay, they'll probably lose to Dallas here, and this is where it makes sense for them to get to. They ended up beating Dallas, and then the bigger upset, they ended up upsetting Green Bay and nearly beat the Rams and got to the Super Bowl. So they're clearly a capable team. They almost won a Super Bowl, but again, what you have to do is you can't try and win the 2021 Super Bowl. That's over. You got to try to win the Super Bowl for the 2022 season, which takes place in 2023. So how are you going to do that? Well, first we got to look at your cap space and who are you losing this year, and will you get them back or do you let them walk? So this is, their cap space and their free agent situation. So they have negative $4 million in cap space. So they're going to have to clear that up. And also just fixing a typo in real time. At the bottom, Jauan Jennings, I spelled his name wrong. It's Jauan. I forgot the first A. So my bad. Sorry, apologies, Jauan. But anyways, you look at the key free agents they have at the top, Laken Tomlinson, offensive lineman, who they'll probably want to re-sign, Jason Verrett, who, again, if he can, the story of Jason Verrett has always been, if he can stay healthy, you can get good play out of him, but that's a big if. He doesn't stay healthy too frequently. DJ Jones, a good interior defensive lineman who you probably do want to keep. Kwan Williams and Jaquiski Tart, who was the guy who dropped that pass that could have been an interception, which, by the way, even if he intercepts that one against the Rams, doesn't mean they win the football game, but, they would have had a decent chance to. Also, forgot to set this up right when I showed this, but the number to the right, that's what either Sports Track or I project. That's how many millions of dollars they will get in free agency annually. So Sports Track has some of the numbers there. If they don't, then I just took my best guess at it. At the bottom, though, I just put 2 for all these guys because they're kind of depth players, or maybe someone who can get playing time, not necessarily stars, guys you could let walk, but if you do, you have to replace them with somebody. You do have to fill out a roster. So this means that if they did re-sign all of these guys, they would need $46 million to do so, which means that they would have to clear $50 million to get all of these guys signed. Now, it's not unheard of to spend $50 million over the cap. That typically a few teams do that every year in terms of actual money versus what affects the cap, because you can restructure contracts, and I made a whole video breaking down how that works. Or you could just cut some players. And the players that they could cut, well, I mean, the obvious one, Jimmy G at the top, would save $26 million if he gets cut. So Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be a 49er next year. It's just not happening. There's no way they're going to spend $26 million for Jimmy G unless they want him to be the starter again, which I don't think they're going to do. I'd be surprised if they make that decision. Garoppolo, he's not a horrible quarterback, but he's at best like a tier 3 quarterback, probably a tier 4 quarterback. And, the tiers, basically the way I view it is tier 3 is an average starting quarterback. I'd probably put him maybe a tier below that. So there's value in a Garoppolo. Maybe someone will trade for him, and you would save the same amount of money either way, whether you trade him or cut him. So if you could get some value for him, sure, take it. I don't know if any other team wants to pay him $26 million, but if a team does, they'll at least give you like a 7th round pick for it. So the reality is probably what happens is you cut him and then someone pays him $10 million to start for them next year if they have a bad quarterback situation. So right off the bat, you cut Garoppolo and you're basically fine in terms of being able to re-sign the rest of your guys. Can you go out and get someone in free agency? And maybe someone too. I mean, it's not horrible. There's other guys you could cut on this list, but quite frankly, I wouldn't. I think that they're all fine contracts, and I would keep them all. But again, in the options they could cut, I just wanted to put them here as these are options on the table, although I wouldn't take those options. Let's look at this chart now. So this chart is where the San Francisco 49ers ranked in terms of PFF grades in each positional category. And the passing grade was just 17th, so that's Garoppolo, not the best. A little bit of Trey Lance in there as well, because it's for the 49ers for the whole season. Offensive line, very good. Receiving game, very good. Running game was whatever, but at the same time, in a Shanahan scheme, you're going to always have a good running game. And then run defense and pass rush, very good. And then coverage, kind of okay. So really, the only real areas I would say the 49ers need to improve upon are, you could improve upon coverage, and then obviously the quarterback play. That's what it's going to come down to. And kind of that's what we knew about the 49ers, right? Is at the end of the day, they do so much so well, but for them to win a Super Bowl, it's probably going to have to be with an upgrade at the quarterback position. So at the end of the day, that is the ultimate question, right? This Trey Lance thing. You traded 3 first-round picks to get Trey Lance, and kind of, worth noting that you made all these moves. If you just stayed put where you were at, like you could have gotten, you could have gotten Micah Parsons in theory. He was drafted with the pick that you originally had there. Or you could have gotten Mac Jones because he ended up falling there. Now, that's revisionist history totally, but it's something that they could have done had they chosen to do so. And, they could have still gotten Mac Jones with the number 3 overall pick. That was speculated, and he was good. We didn't see much of Trey Lance in the regular season. I kind of liked what I saw from him, to be honest, but I wasn't crazy about his college tape, although I was kind of left more like, I just don't know that much about his college tape because it was just such a weird situation where he'd throw like 10 times in a game, and it's against, not great competition, and guys are getting schemed wide open, so it was just kind of a weird situation with Lance in college, so it could work. And listen, if Shanahan hits this one out of the park and they get a great quarterback, this team could be awesome. So that's what you have to hope for if you're a 49ers fan. There is some legitimate reasons to be excited if you are a San Francisco 49ers fan, but there also is always that question of you gave up 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. That's what you did. If it works out, who cares? You got Trey Lance. You got a star quarterback for the future. If it doesn't work out, you're in trouble. You'll always be somewhat competitive with Kyle Shanahan, I think, as long as you just have competent quarterback play, so not Nick Mullins, and you'll at least be decent. But the reality is, will you be a championship contender? Probably not. You probably need at least a good quarterback, if nothing else. So we'll see. We'll see what they can do with this Trey Lance thing, and I think that that's really what it comes down to, is going to be the development of Trey Lance. In terms of the rest of this offseason, what do they do? Yeah, you could use another corner. I think the receiving core is fine. PFF has it as the best in football. I'm not sure about that, but it's very good. You don't need much improvements there. Again, any way you can improve would be good, but maybe you just draft a couple guys in the secondary and you just hope that you can develop Trey Lance, because that's really what it all comes down to. That's going to be the decision at the end of the day, is just going to be Trey Lance. That's what this team relies along. So, yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on all of this? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.